3 minutes. We are live.
Yeah.
So we are excited. Welcome to Samuel and Tierra Richardson's live broadcast, Color with Purpose.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
So as usual, we're going to give it probably about a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we can actually get into the rhythm of the social media on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and also on Twitter. So we're definitely excited. As you can see on our ticker on the bottom, not your average survivor.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually my wife is going to talk a little bit about that project that she has coming out this year, and talking about her nonprofit organization, which is what it is, baby.
It's Strokes Life Initiative.
Yes, Strokes to Life Initiative. And we have the website down below on the ticker. So please chime in on that website, strokestolife.org. My wife is doing an amazing job. She's going to tell her story so that way you can kind of get the back end of it to understand why we created the Strokes to Life Initiative. And this is
Yes.
something that I've supported my wife. I believe in supporting your spouse as much as possible, especially dealing with what we've been through in our life, in our marriage. God be the glory. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So definitely we're gonna get about another minute because we want everybody to chime in. Hey, we want you to engage with us because we're definitely going to engage with you by being consistent on our actual platform. We're going to be talking about a plethora of a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
in life. As you
Right.
can see, the title, we're talking about caregivers, right? Caregivers, and we're talking about far as our other topic of conversation, not your average survivor.
Right.
That's the topic of conversation today. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely we're going to about to kick into our countdown. It's going to be a 30-second countdown, and we're going to actually have some intros coming in, and we're going to be getting started with our live broadcast shortly. Pleasure to have y'all. Hey everyone, my name is Samuel Richardson,
And I'm Tierra Richardson. What's up? What's up?
and we're definitely excited to have you today joining us in on our live broadcast today. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get right into our topic of conversation. At first, we want to talk about caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I've been a caregiver since 2018,
Mm-hmm.
since my wife had her two cerebellum strokes. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been something, it's been a journey. It's definitely been a road of recovery for me and my family. When my wife actually had her two cerebellum strokes, it was something where the actual balance of power shifted more so on me to
Mm-hmm.
take care of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we wanted to talk to you today about caregivers is because I feel caregivers doesn't get the actual respect that they should get. You know,
Right.
that's not a topic of conversation that's
Right.
talked about a lot.
Right.
And we wanted to create that momentum to understand that caregivers are very important in our society. We
Yes.
have caregivers that take care of the elderly. We have caregivers that take care of people that maybe been put in hospice. We have
Mm-hmm.
caregivers that's taking care of their loved one, their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, in telling our life story, is that it has been something that it's a full-time job within itself.
Right. It really is.
It's a full-time job. I mean, in getting our son up in the morning, washing him, making sure that my wife is good, help assisting her, and also providing that psychological support
Mm-hmm.
as a caregiver, because as a caregiver, it's so important to have a positive mindset. Would you agree, T?
I think it really is. I know just for you, it has been really hard, and you're always a team player, but I know you, and I
Mm-hmm.
know, it was a lot of times where I was like, hey, you need help. Um, I know I can be challenging. Um, it's even harder when I know for you looking at me, and you know, the difference. You know that I'm not the same person, and I'm over here trying to, or at one point in time, I was trying to still be the same person and be
Mm-hmm.
the same wife, and I can show up that way. And it was hard mentally. It was hard emotionally. It was
Mm-hmm.
hard, not just for you caring for me from a health aspect, but even in our marriage and how I can still show up like how I wanted to, and how you need me to show up, and just nurturing and loving you the way that I did before, and nurturing and loving on our son the
Mm-hmm.
same way. A lot of that shifted, and so I know that therapy has definitely played a huge part in us being able to get over that hump that was really, really hard. um, and then you just loving me to the point where you've made me feel like it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, to not be 100%, even though I aspire to be 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I may look and appear even to the outside world that I'm 100%, but that's not really the case.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, what you was just saying is that it was one point in time my wife can be a little bit hard headed sometimes, and
Mhm.
and sometimes she can actually get in her own way. And let me just put this comment, because we believe in actually anytime anyone want to make a comment, definitely share with us. Your name is not coming up yet. It may be because of the live broadcasting, but hope your name appears on there so we can shout you out. But this Facebook user said, I was a caregiver for my mom and dad, and my dad and his brother when I was a temp at YKK. It was tough. Would I do it again? Without question. So if this, when you say YKK, this might be Willie, Willie, because I was a manager over at YKK when I actually moved here to Atlanta, Georgia.
No, Warner Robins.
Warner Robins, Georgia. Yes.
Mhm.
And actually, that's when I was actually filling out about 25. Went on about 25 interviews. I passed the phone conversations and everything because how I speak. But when they actually saw my face and all that stuff, man, it kind of changed a little bit. But that's another story. That's another topic of conversation on another live broadcast. But getting back to the topic at hand, yes, Willie, you know, you said no question. Being a caregiver is something special because you're knowing that you're filling in a need. And when you say filling in a need, you're filling in to something that's voided. Someone who cannot provide assistance for themselves. And this is where a caregiver comes in, is to help provide comfort, right? It's also caregivers can help provide that mental stability in a certain type of way. I know within our marriage, being a caregiver, there's so many hats that you got to wear, and you have to always try to put on having a positive mindset, right? To be able to think positive pretty much all the time, because if you don't, the person who you are caring for can pick up on that energy. So if you've had a bad day and you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling stressed, and you bring that to your caregiving duties, that person can feel that energy. I feel that they can feel that energy, and it doesn't give the best type of how can I say this? It doesn't provide that best comfort for the person who you're supposed to be caregiving for.
Yeah, it does. It makes you feel like, I got to do more. I can't. well, I can't be that sick today. I can't feel that bad today. And if I do, I can't really voice it. I have
Mm-hmm.
to suppress actually how I'm feeling because I know that my caregiver may be tired, maybe annoyed, frustrated. I know many times because of my memory issues that I've
Yeah.
had, it's been like a ticking time bomb because Sam will be talking to me and I'm not remembering this from here, or I'm trying to call myself trying to clean up and I move something and I forgot where I put it. And so and that's like
Oh yeah,
every
Lord.
day I'm always forgetting something and some really important things too. Because I'll be like, I'm gonna remember, and I don't remember, and that's just been a pain in so many levels. And me trying to still be that team player when it's not all there. So
Yeah, and that's one of the most frustrating, things about, when we have those conversations and knowing it took me a while to get used to that.
mhm.
To get used to, like, even to like simple things like, we have remote to the TV, like, where you put the remote, like, oh Lord, or because you were so much hands on with Samuel the Fourth
Mhm.
and how you was breastfeeding and things of that nature, those things change. So it definitely provided a level of comfort for me. Didn't have to worry about, heating water bottles and things and making milk, what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
those things came back into the forefront because you couldn't breastfeed anymore.
Right.
And, we used to work out a lot.
Exactly.
Work out a lot, even on base. And we used to go on base and in Warner Robins and work out and do a lot of walks and a lot of riding the bikes together. But that those type of things had
All ended.
it all ended once my wife had two cerebellum strokes. And I
Mhm.
think that's the most difficult thing because those type of activities that we would do together, it brought us close together
It did.
because we did a lot of those things that bring that connection, right? That bond, getting to know your spouse even more. And we was kind of like fairly new getting married because we got
It
married in
was
2016.
yeah, it was only 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years in marriage.
New baby.
New baby. It was a lot, and I remember I look at the bike still to this day in the garage, and I'm like, man, I wish I could still ride bike. Because that was something that I loved to do, and we would compete, and we were like, okay, I'm gonna go 8 miles a day, 10 miles a day, and we would just go in. And I really miss that me to be competitive in that manner, and the competitive nature is still there, but it bothers me because I know I can't like do exactly what I used to do, and then it also brings in those insecurities because it's like I'm not the same anymore, and you've said it, you're not the same, and even in disputes or arguments and stuff like that, and or I'm just tuning you out because when you have a traumatic brain injury, you deal with so many chemical imbalances, you deal with
Mm-hmm.
mood change, and then that anxiety gets worse, and depression, and like my chronic fatigue is really bad. So it's like me, I'm laying in bed. Some days I'm in the bed till 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the day, and you're like, and I'm not showing up, but Samuel the fourth, he's up, and so he's
Mm-hmm.
mommy and daddy all day long, and Samuel the fourth didn't go to school for a while, and so um,
That's because of
it's
COVID,
been, yeah.
right?
Well, before COVID, he
Yeah.
still wasn't in school for a
Yeah.
while. I think we might have tried it out for like a month or so, and he had got sick. And so, I mean, caregiving, I'm grateful that I actually was able to be cared for by you.
Mm-hmm.
And, that you were willing to take on that mantle because it wasn't something that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that you being my caregiver has pushed me to the point that I feel like I have pushed myself more.
Yes.
And that I didn't settle um, based on where I was, but I
Yeah.
pushed myself so that I could at least be who I am today, to
Right.
be able to still contribute, what I can contribute to our marriage, to our household, to being a mother, sharing my ideas, and you even being willing to still take in my opinion on a lot of things. So
Yeah, and I think it comes with our one of our brands, which is Cuddle with Purpose, is
mhm.
that this is one of the things that we talk about consistently
Okay.
is, being mindful of who you connect with,
Right,
right?
right.
When you're dating, making sure that the person that you're dating, make sure that that's the person that you still love when you don't like the red flags that you see.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think this is something that is very important. It goes in with caregiving is because you don't know what type of trauma event that can happen or that will happen
Right.
in that relationship. And this is why it's so very important that you vet the person who you're with.
Oh my God, for real. Like, because I think my lucky star is every day that I married somebody that was nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
And, there were signs that you were a nurturer. I never forget when we were dating and
A
we had
nurturer, baby, a nurturer. Yeah.
and we had remember we had I love oysters, y'all. Like,
Yeah, you do.
I love oysters.
That's that Charleston thing.
Yes. Okay. So I got those oysters from Publix, and I was trying to, y'all, he didn't eat no seafood before he was with me. Okay, but he likes seafood now. But anyway, I decided to get some canned oysters, but this was like not my first time. But this time I had got like sad. It was a sad type of sickness, and I think it was food poisoning that I had. And it was Christmas break,
Mm-hmm.
and I was only supposed to come visit you for like a day or two, but I ended up staying the whole week
Mm-hmm.
because I was sick. But you took me to urgent care. You stayed the whole time. You held my hand. You told him my whole name and all these things. And I was like, how does man know my middle name? All these things. And I'm like, we only been dating for this amount of time. But he knew everything almost about me. He remembered everything, and he was able to regurgitate that. And that's like literally what he did once I had my stroke. Like, it just showed me how he doesn't miss anything. He pays attention to everything, and you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't fall through the cracks.
It's so very important, man, because sometimes and I think, we got married in a very short amount of time. We got married very quickly.
Yes, we did.
But I've always told this tell the story is that when I met my wife, I believe in love at first sight. And I don't play games. I'm not one of the ones that play games. I'm an alpha male, so I don't play games. So when I see something that I like, I go at it because I know she was the person who I wanted to spend my life with.
But hold up now.
Go ahead.
I will say, when you did try to get my number, I asked you why.
She made me work
for
it.
I said, what do you want? And
Yeah.
what did you say?
Well, I said, I wanted a friend. I wanted somebody to talk to.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Right?
but let me elaborate.
I say to you?
But let me elaborate.
It was no elaboration.
You said a friend, like boy bye. Like,
I ain't trying to be nobody's friend. Listen, ain't nobody trying to be nobody's friend. I told you I am somebody's what?
Wife.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, she said that. And but you know what? With that being said, let me say this. I had filed for divorce back in, I believe it was 2012, I believe. And I didn't do any dating or anything like that for 5 years. But let me tell you something. It was within that 5 years I found myself. I found myself. I fell in love with me. I look and evaluated myself and made myself better of self-development. And I think it's so very important that when you're in relationships, it's so very important. And if you have went through a divorce, I don't know how many people who's watching this live broadcast or who's going to be watching this live broadcast who have been through a divorce. It's not fun. It was very hurtful. I went through some dark time, and I had two children. You know what I'm saying? You know, with my children's mother at that time, and it was very difficult for me, and going through the court system, fighting for custody battle and things of that nature. But I knew I had to move on with my life. And I remember having that conversation with my dad, and my dad said, you know what, you've always been there for your children, but you have to live. And you know, you have to do what's best for you. And when I made that decision to move on, I made that decision to go back to school because I was in adult graduate studies at the time and was going to school. And that's where I met T. Because, you know, she was going back to school as well, getting her degree. And, you know, I just understood that, you know, working on me for those 5 years and bettering myself, that, you know what, I'm ready to do this again. And I think so many times we as people have to make sure that we take the necessary steps that you connect with the right person. Because so many times we have a tendency to look over the red flags, right? Look over the red flags. Now, mind you, I'm quite sure I had some red flags still. I'm not perfect, but understand this. There are difference in different types of red flags on what you can put up with as an individual, as an adult. And if you see certain things that you say to yourself,
yeah, like if I cannot live with that, then that's a problem.
Exactly.
I would tell anybody, marry going into it as if this is the person that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life and that they may never change.
That's right.
Now, of course, change is inevitable, but what people sometimes don't do is that they don't mature.
That's right.
Or they don't evolve. And so you have to know that I'm marrying somebody in hopes that they are going to grow in various areas. And so I married him being in love with who he was, being in love with a person who was in logistics for 17 years.
17 years.
Who wore steel toe boots.
Had
hard hats. You know, that type of stuff I thought was sexy because, you know, you've been on your job, you go have a house, you got a nice clean house. And a handsome man that took very great care of your children. You loved your parents and you know, just a family person all overall, and you love God, you know. And I think that that was really important to me. I think that us getting married early or in a short period of time, it was challenging once we got into it. But I think everybody's first year of marriage.
They say that that's the most difficult time can be because you're still getting to know, especially, you know, we moved kind of fast with it. So we were still in the nurturing process of trying to understand one another.
Right. But we had standards. We understood what we wanted, what we didn't want. We understood that, you know, our marriage was God's assignment. Truly, I feel like to this day that is just really God's assignment, and he knows what he wants. And so I feel like that's why he put it together and allowed us to move and feel at peace about moving at the pace in which we were going. But just to kind of bring it back to caregiving, I think that is a huge component of having a caregiver, especially from a relationship standpoint.
I agree.
Because I know for me, connecting with so many other survivors, their caregivers are their spouse, and it's not an easy process to go through. It's stroke recovery is a marathon. It is not a sprint by any means. You know, you might see the most amount of recovery in your first 3 months, but after that, you know, you go through plateaus. You have to shift things. You have to look at where you are and where you want to be, and you got to look at it from a totality as a partnership. And I think that it's been good that you've supported me in wanting to do different things to help me in different types of therapy, from creative writing therapy, because I I'm a writer. So I
Mm-hmm.
have extensive amount of time that I write, and that has helped me tremendously in my
In
growth.
what ways you would say writing has helped you in your road to recovery from two
Oh my
cerebellar
God,
strokes?
man, I feel like I've discovered who I am
Mm-hmm.
through my writing. I feel like I have discovered, um, or it's been even more clear what my purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to release when I'm not able to have my creative writing therapy. My week is so off. I'm
Mm,
stressed. I have even more headaches. It's
mm,
just crazy. But when I write, oh my God, it's like almost being in a shower where you just have the steam and just everything kind of feels like it just kind of releases. And so um, creative writing has been like the best. But what I'm like super excited about now as a therapy that I'm in is horseback riding, therapeutic
yes.
riding.
Talk a little bit about like far as on
Um,
how I took you to that appointment and
mhm.
and who's has been helping in that process and to build that up.
So I'm super excited about um, being in horseback riding.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered it just looking at different things online,
Mm-hmm.
and found this amazing company here in the Atlanta area. And I just love just the fact of being able to do something that's going to shift some things, even doing something different because I'm a little nervous sometimes, and so this is going to build my confidence. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to help with my balance because I'm not sure if some people know, but your cerebellum actually controls your mobility and your balance, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I actually had my stroke, and so it actually is damaged almost completely on one side and then partially on the other. So that's mainly why you guys see me, of course, with a cane. I can stand in place. Of course, I may can even make a few steps, but I need to make sure that I have something to catch me because when I was going through that phase of not wanting to see the world see me look
Yeah.
disabled and crippled, I end up with bruises on my shoulder
Well,
because I'm
let's
falling.
talk about that a little bit because I know because of your ambitions and how you are somewhat at that time you was definitely independent, an independent, strong black woman. And with that being said, how was that transition? How was the transition between being a strong black woman, which you still are, but how you had to reevaluate things and how you think and how you move after you had the two strokes?
Man, that was hard as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I was pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I still be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those people to be codependent. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like being codependent. I
Mm-hmm.
came into this thing like, I'm every woman. I'm independent. I got this. I got my own. Like
Yeah.
that's just how I've always been. I've
Yeah.
been working since I've been
And that's what I love about you. Yeah.
14 years old. I remember my mom asked me what I want to do. I was like, I want to get a job, and it was at the library because they was hiring people at 15. Like I was like, listen, I need to be independent. I need to make some money. Okay, and so that's just how I've always been very competitive and not really wanting to have to rely. I love having companionship. I love being married.
Mm-hmm.
I love being able to rely on you, but I didn't. It's kind of like when you don't have to. I don't want have to rely on
Mm-hmm.
you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was hard because I needed you in more ways than one. And so um, it took therapy to realize that. It took God really bringing me to a point of understanding. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is why I was able to give you what you needed. In a companion so that he could care for you in the way in which you needed to be cared for. It was humbling in so many ways, so it also gave me the more patience that I needed. It allowed me to look at things from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can be running, and when you're running you miss a lot, but when you're walking you see so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it allowed me to see more because I was immediately brought to a halt, to
Mm-hmm.
a stop. And so I'm able to evaluate and see what's going on around me. But it's just been hard because the world can't. And this is actually a blessing. I feel like it's a
Mm-hmm.
blessing, but then it feels like some days it's a curse because the way it ended up is that the world can't really see a lot of the issues that I
Mm.
have. I feel like God knew me as His daughter and was like, I know my daughter want to look a certain way. She,
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have used to be a prideful individual, and I feel like He just knew my personality,
Mm-hmm.
and He just was like, so those things, those issues that you have, your husband's gonna see it. Your son is going to see it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to see it, and you're going to have to see it. And so it allowed me, it forced me to sit in it. It allowed me to really see myself and accept the fact that I needed help and
Mm.
that I had to ask for help. And that's hard asking for help because I've told you many times like I got this shit, I don't need like I'm good, bruh. And I still talk shit, y'all, like I still do, like that's just
Woo.
who I am. But you talk shit too, so don't
You
even
see
come
how
for
she
me.
bring it back on me.
Don't come for
So
me.
let me ask this question.
What?
So if to our audience, if there's someone out there who has been through something that altered their way of life, like
Mhm.
you've had, with the two cerebellum strokes, what would be some words of encouragement you would say, far as in helping them to get through it and how to kind of cope. And I love how you say taking the disc off ability.
Mm, how to cope? One of my coping tech mechanisms, and I was actually talking to a therapist about this, is looking at everything that I've already overcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I go back. I go back all the way to my childhood, and I look at everything that I thought was impossible,
Mm-hmm.
and God made it possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I go back and I look at my pictures. For me, if I don't see when I was lying in the hospital, if I
Mm-hmm.
don't see when I had to relearn how to walk, if I don't see how I had to relearn how to talk, um, or if I don't even pay attention to sometimes when my mind slips in the midst of a conversation or
Mm-hmm.
little things, um, you'll miss it. But when you look at how far you've come and the things that you've overcome, then you realize like I'm gonna be all right.
Mm.
I'm gonna be all right.
Okay.
And that's what has worked best for me
Mm-hmm.
is understanding that I've overcame so much, and so I can definitely get through this. I've also understood the fact that God shifted my life or allowed things to happen for a bigger purpose.
Mm.
Um, I feel like I was telling um, uh, the therapist yesterday that like I'm not overwhelmed anymore. Like I'm at peace about where I'm at,
Mm.
who
Being
I
at
am,
peace. Being at
and
peace.
I'm not in a race about anything.
Right.
God has put me in my own lane.
Right.
Um, and I'm going at my own pace. And
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Like who I am today is okay. Before, I was like in a race, like I gotta get it, we need to do this, we gotta get here, I need this promotion, I need to do that, I need to make this type of money. And God has given me everything that I need, and so that I can be more impactful.
Mm.
And so I'm impactful in just looking like this. I'm impactful with no earrings on. I'm impactful with just speaking my truth and letting somebody know that they can too overcome amid any catastrophe.
Mm.
That they too can overcome even though situations are unforeseen. But it's important that you take heed to those unforeseen situations so that you can be properly prepared. Because what I do know is, even though that was a big storm and
Yeah.
you would think that that would be the last one, it was more that came after that. But because I was prepared, and that prepared me, it prepared us, we're ready for everything that's to come.
You better
And I
say it.
think that everybody needs to properly prepare their mind and utilize those challenges to get to the next level.
I just think that's so very important, and this is something what me and my wife believe in prepping yourself for things that may come,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Right.
And I know that's something that my dad used to always preach. And I remember a vivid sermon when he said, one day he said, when I pass away, he said, don't cry for me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cry for me,
Right.
because I've done the good work. I fought the good fight.
Right.
And I just know when it's my time, but I know I'm in a better place.
Exactly.
And I transferred that message into our message and what we want to get to our audience today. That no matter what is going on in your life right now, understand that you owe it to yourself to fight the good fight.
Yeah.
You owe it to yourself to believe, because guess what? Nobody else is going to believe more in you than you.
Exactly.
And you have to understand that you have to prep yourself. Not just don't wait till something bad happens, but you have to prep yourself that, you know what? I'm going to be confident and continue to live in my confidence, because I know I'm going to be living in my truth.
Yeah.
Living in your truth is so powerful.
Oh yeah, it is. It brings so much peace.
It brings so much peace because you don't have to actually do a whole lot of work being something that you're not. Exactly. And I just think with that, with being a caregiver, we want to add some tools that's very important as being a caregiver. Is making sure that you have a living will, or the person you caring for has a living will.
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times, especially within our Black community, is that having a living will is not something that I'm seeing done.
Yeah.
And because, a lot of times we're so getting caught up with life and paying bills and just thinking that's all life is about. But you have to prep your family just in case if something was to happen to me or something was to happen to you. And we had it in place, which really set us up for success, because when the hospital knew that we had the living will in place and they know they need to do emergency surgery, they already know they had someone that they can call to make those decisions. Yeah. And I think when you don't have that in place, a beneficiary or somebody who you trust, right. Let me say this. Please make sure on your beneficiaries that you leave the responsibility on someone who's going to make a decision possibly on your life or your loved one's life. Make sure it's someone that you know that's going to have your family best interests in mind.
Yeah, I totally agree. It brings me back to just when you talk about preparation, and I feel like a caregiver is not just the person that cares for you, but you gotta sometimes be your own caregiver. And when I say that to say this, everything that we did prior to me having our stroke, and me myself personally, I feel like was a part of the care and the care that I gave to myself post stroke.
Wow.
I feel like that preparation, the work that I put in, the decisions that I made, was able to give me all of the nurturing and the support as well that I receive to this day. And I think that those are things that we got to think about. I think about the fact that even though you may have went through that process of those multiple interviews, and you did finally find a position, but you knew that wasn't giving you exactly what you were worth.
Right.
We then went into entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Something completely different.
Yes.
And shifted our life.
Mm-hmm.
And it shifted our life for so many reasons, to the point that you were then a full-time entrepreneur when I had my stroke. So you didn't have to call a job and say, "Oh, I need this time off."
Mm.
I don't need
Yes.
FMLA.
Yeah.
I don't need those things. I don't need to negotiate to be able to be there for my wife and be there for my son. You were able to sleep in the hospital. You were able to sleep in the
And it wasn't
inpatient
comfortable.
rehabilitation.
It always
No,
wasn't comfortable.
never. It was horrible,
It was
but you
like
was
even in a lazy
there.
boy.
I'll never forget the doctors and the nurse, the therapist saying, like, your husband, you're so blessed. People don't have anybody to come visit them.
Yeah.
But my husband was there every day
With Samuel.
with our 8-month-old son.
Yeah.
And so I had all of that constant support each and every day because we cared prior to.
Mm.
We invested, we went hard in a business, and that business was able to roll into me having a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
still having financial stability, still being able to also have you present because a job would have taken away from you being able to
Yeah.
be there. And we don't live in a state with family.
Yeah.
We
We don't.
live
No family.
about 5 hours away from family.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about that, everybody had to fly or drive, and it wasn't an issue because you was always there. So
Yeah.
nobody had to worry about whether I was alone because I was never alone.
And you know what? And I have to give a shout out to my pops. You know, he set an example for me to see on what a man, a father, and husband should do for his family.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me tell you, let me just keep it real. If it wasn't for my father being involved in my life ever since when I was born,
Mm-hmm.
and raising me to be a man,
Right.
it's no telling where I would be. And
Yeah.
because I saw him constantly every single day. I
Yeah.
believe that's what helped even in the caregiving aspect is
Mm-hmm.
because I see that he was present. And you said that word.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that resonated with me, being present. And I think when you being present and people can see you, people can feel you, people can understand you, I think that's what made the presence of mind always for me is to be present. Even being present when some days when I don't like you, some days when some
Mm-hmm.
days I don't like far as or what maybe you have said, or some
Right.
days I don't like because I just know I you know, yeah, I may have said some things back, we may have arguments, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same day, being able to still be presence in the midst of not being on the same accord, but
Mm.
also understanding that I still love you. That no matter even if we have disagreements, but understand that the love doesn't change.
I agree. Right. It reminds me, because your dad actually passed away the year before my stroke,
Yeah.
and
March 11,
and
2017.
I know just a couple of times we were able to travel and stay during those weeks that we were able to stay. Just even seeing your mom, how she supported him, and even with her having health issues,
Mm,
she was able to sacrifice and be there to nurture him.
mm.
And that's what I feel like, she nurtured him all the way to the point that it was over,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think your mom all the time for that, because it was one time I think the year before she was sick,
Mm,
and he was nurturing her, and
mm.
then it flipped, and then
Wow.
he got sick, and then she was nurturing him.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, it's so important. And I feel like it goes back to when you invest in your children, how our son is so loving and caring because he sees the nurturing, he sees the love that's within the household. But that's what you were given. Even in the midst of dysfunction,
Yeah.
you still saw love, you still saw nurturing. And I think that that's so important in our life. Like, I think about when my great grandmother got sick and my mom became her caregiver,
Mm.
and how we spent nights
Grandma
at
Pearl.
Grandma Pearl,
Grandma Pearl.
how we stayed at her house, and how my mom would cook certain meals for
Mm-hmm.
her. because she was a diabetic,
Mm,
and how she took time and how she stopped working to nurture her.
mm,
I remember how my grandmother, her daughter, moved all the way from Florida back to South Carolina to nurture her.
mm.
Like, people make sacrifices to be
Say
a
that.
caregiver,
That's right.
you know?
That's
And
right.
I think that sacrifice is important because it's not going to just help that person, but it's going to help you as well. It makes you to be a better person. It,
Mm,
it, it makes you to be a more loving person. And I think that all caregivers should be acknowledged. This month, the month of July, is actually National Good Care Month. And I just don't take that for granted because caring for somebody genuinely is so, so, so important. It
yeah.
comes out naturally
Yeah.
when you love and you care.
Yeah.
I think about even like my aunt Priscilla, where she cared for my grandmother until she passed away.
Aunt Priscilla.
And
Miss Lucille.
my grandma, she was old. She got old to the point she couldn't live on her own
And
anymore.
how old did she get?
She died at 93,
93
and
years young.
she lived with my aunt, and my aunt cared for her until
Mm-hmm.
she passed away, and that's her daughter cared for her.
Mm.
And so I feel like our roles at some point in time in life is always going to shift,
The circle of life.
but we got to be willing to move with that shift, and we got to be willing to care. I know, even in the midst of me being sick, I still have to care for you.
Mm.
I still have to love you. I still have to see you. I still have to understand you. And caregiving is a two-way street. You have to acknowledge that person. You have to appreciate that person. You have to thank that person. And so, to be honest, I just want to say thank you for caring for me and allowing me to have a voice, because I know so many people lose a voice when they go into a place of illness or disability.
Mm.
You've lifted me up in a way that still gives me purpose. You've lifted me up in a way that doesn't allow me to stay stagnant
Mm.
and just be, where I'm at mentally. You've challenged my mind, and when I'm weak, you allow me to rest.
Mm.
And that's so important. Like, just being able to rest and sleep. So whether I'm in bed for like hours at a time, or I can't go to sleep, or I'm in pain, you're there and you're supportive of that. So I appreciate you being my caregiver
Mm.
and my boo.
You better believe it. I appreciate it. And it's so very important is to give your loved ones flowers while they're alive.
Hmm.
It shouldn't wait until they get sick or something happens and they pass away.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna keep preaching that is that you should always give your loved ones flowers while they still alive, because this is the whole part of Cuddle with Purpose.
Yeah.
This is our time. We're excited. I feel that we have a gift, and it shows, because people need to see our gift. We need to be interacting with other people that's in the same mindset, the same niche of
Hmm.
the importance of loving each other. And we're going to be connecting with other people, other creators,
Hmm.
that's serious about this life. They're not just talking to talk, but their life exemplifies what they speak. And I
So
think
good.
that's something so important. So on the other segment we want to talk about is actually, your projects that you have going on, which I am super excited about.
Mhm.
She has my wife has a planner that's going to be coming out here shortly, and it's called Not Your Average Survivor. And she definitely has her nonprofit organization, a real nonprofit 501c3, with strokes2life.org, which is called Strokes to Life Initiative. So tell us a little bit about your planner and where did you get that title, which we do own the rights to, Not Your Average Survivor. It's trademark. Go ahead, baby.
All right, so Not Your Average Survivor Planner will be coming out soon,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really created to help me. Um, and then I realized, like, oh, I can share this with other people.
Yeah.
So with speech, people are a little confused about what speech is for. Speech therapy isn't just for being able to speak, but it's also for your cognitive aspect, which is one of the things that I suffer with in memory and task and organization and all those things.
Yes, because somebody listening to you right now is saying, "Man, you seem like you speak fine.
Right, right,
So
right.
why you need a speech
But
therapist?"
it's deeper than just talking,
Right,
right? And
right.
if they research it, they'll realize that it's way deeper than just talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just from a cognitive aspect and being able to, you know, continue with um, just your daily self organization. Like I was a human resource within the military, and so for me, sitting at a computer for long periods of time is not gonna happen. Getting tasks done, it's hard to get tasks done for me. Memory, it's hard. All those different things, right? And so speech therapy helps you with that. And so one of my issues, I'm just unorganized completely, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as I would love to be, um, I realize that I need more organization in order for me to obtain some of the goals that I have. And so that's where the planner came in, and also tracking, like, for when you're having any type of illness specifically,
Mm-hmm.
um, being a stroke survivor, being able to, keep track of taking your blood pressure twice a day, or
Mm-hmm.
if you, like me, you're having over 5 different meds that you got to remember to take every day.
Right.
You're dealing with various mood issues. You're dealing with sleep. You're dealing with mental health, which is dramatically uh, important to be able to acknowledge and to understand. You're in extensive amount of therapy, doctor's appointments. You're being asked a lot, and for me, when a doctor asks me stuff, I have a time I don't even remember what happened the early half of my day.
Mm-hmm.
And so a planner is gonna, this planner is in place for that. This planner is in place to build confidence. This planner is in place to help with the recovery journey. Recovery, like I said, is not a sprint; it's a lifelong marathon. And so it's in place to really jumpstart a person, whether they're just getting out of the hospital or they're 3 years down the road and they're just needing to regroup to get ahead. I actually have some of my poetry in there. Um,
So you're an
some
author?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
motivational
Mm-hmm.
quotes, just for you to be able to see what your vision is, because you have scars, right? But you need to look at that scar and see what you're going to do with it, what type of story. So we
Mm.
have journaling. You're going to figure out who you are. And so I'm excited about that, because you're a new person after having any type of injury, right?
Mm.
And you've experienced some type of trauma.
Especially brain injuries.
Right, 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 right. And the brain needs nurturing,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes we need prompts. And so I've thrived off of people giving me prompts and giving me something to go off of
Mm-hmm.
um, in my journey of recovery. And so I want to help people develop in that area. I want to give people guidance. You're left alone after people, like, they throw you to the wayside. You're left to the wolves when you are no longer quote unquote good to the workforce,
Mm.
right? And so you got to then redefine and figure out who you are. And so my goal in this planner is to help people from a mental aspect, a health aspect, um, as well as an emotional aspect, and building their confidence and getting rid of those insecurities that will come from any type of injury or um, traumatic brain injury, or being a stroke survivor. So
Mm-hmm.
anywho,
Yeah.
the goal is for you not to be the average survivor.
Right.
That's the moral of the story. You've already survived.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to thrive.
Right.
And that's all I got to say about that.
And that's phenomenal, because I feel when even just with those words, not your average survivor, it to me, it really pumps me up. It really, excites me. It gives me that confidence. It gives me that determination. But at the same time, it gives me that focus that I feel that is necessary for especially someone like you that has faced a brain injury, and which can be so devastating. And
Mm-hmm.
just to seeing your growth with this planner, and just hey, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be one of the best planners in the world, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
super excited. So definitely, we already having partnerships with doctors in the medical field, with your therapists and things of that nature. And I just want to just put it out there too as well. If you're watching this live broadcast and if you're in the medical field, and this is something, especially to be helpful to my wife's nonprofit organization, we have the resources and tools to be able to have something to help people who have been through brain injuries, who have been through some type of trauma injury that has altered their life. And we
Mm-hmm.
have the resources and tools to be able to help them cope with it, deal with it, and then ultimately want them to overcome it. And that's the the thing I love about your project and just your mastermind behind the idea of not your average survivor planner. So definitely, if you tune in to on my wife's website, strokestolife.org, you'll see her amazing, beautiful pictures. You'll see just a lot of things that she's doing far as to help others. And it's not just about her, because she's always been a giver.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I loved about you. You always been a giver and willing to help others in time of need.
Yeah.
You have any last words you want to say?
No, man, I'm just tired and I'm ready to eat. That's about
So definitely, I'm going to take my wife. We're going to have some brunch, but definitely it's been amazing on this live broadcast. So stay tuned to our next one. We're going to have another topic of conversation. But you know what? Not your average survivor will be coming to you very soon, and we appreciate you and we thank you for your love and your support. From the
Mm-hmm.
Richardsons, Cuddle with Purpose. Y'all take care and be
Peace.
blessed.